Who will Joe surrender to next? That's the question the former president is asking, and it's anybody's guess. My bet's on China. And Biden's holiday is interrupted. Yeah, a lot of folks in the press are really upset that Mr. Biden had to come back from vacation. That's where we begin tonight. Joe Biden coming back from his planned vacation to finally address the nation on his administration's botched pullout of Afghanistan. Watch this.
I stand squarely behind my decision. After 20 years, I've learned the hard way that there was never a good time to withdraw U.S. forces. That's why we're still there. We were clear-eyed about the risks. We planned for every contingency, but I always promised the American people that I would be straight with you. The truth is, this did unfold more quickly than we had anticipated. So what's happened? Afghanistan political leaders gave up and fled the country.
Never his fault. Yeah, we planned for every contingency except for, the enemy. Joining me now is Arizona Congressman Andy Biggs. Congressman, always wonderful to see you. Biden was effectively missing in action the entire weekend as he vacationed in Camp David. And all we saw was a photo of him sitting alone. There's the photo right there. He had a Zoom call, sitting all by himself in there. That's the engaged occupier of the Oval Office. If Biden had followed Trump's plan, none of this chaos and, people falling from airborne jets, it wouldn't be happening. What do you make of Biden trying to blame Trump for Biden's Saigon moment?
Well, Biden will never, ever take responsibility of his choices and his actions. I mean, just as you say, President Trump had worked with the Taliban and worked with Afghani president, and they had been negotiating so that those two organizations could put together a peaceful transition of power where the Afghani people would have self-determination for their national interest. In the meantime, they were working on conditions of withdrawal. And all it would have taken is the blueprint that President Trump and his team of advisors like Mike Pompeo, D&I Ratcliffe had all put together these plans that would work. But instead, of course, when it falls apart, why? Because they are just absolutely incompetent in every way, on every policy front, whether domestic or foreign, they're going to blame somebody else. And that is the Saul Alinsky way, that's the Joe Biden way, that is the left's way. This could have been handled so much better, so much differently. And it isn't that most Americans didn't want us to withdraw from Afghanistan. We just wanted to withdraw with honor and with a peaceful process to go ahead to save lives there and save American lives and have a more secure future for this country after all that we had sacrificed. He should be ashamed. He should be resigning, quite frankly. It was perhaps the worst foreign policy performance in the history of the United States of America.
Meanwhile, some in the press, very few, I'm happy to report, some in the press, like Fox News' Chris Wallace, adopting the absurd premise of blaming the Trump administration to divert blame from their preferred candidate / occupier of the Oval Office, Joe Biden. What's your reaction to some in the press adopting the completely absurd notion that the Trump administration had any culpability in this withdrawal whatsoever?
Well, it just goes to show that some people hate Donald Trump more than they love the country. They cannot respond rationally. They always respond viscerally. I think there are a lot of us who are looking at this on July 5th when the Biden administration ordered the evacuation of Bagram Air Base, and we said, well, this isn't going to necessarily go well because you didn't even communicate with the Afghanis. And you left all this materiel over there. This is Biden's promise. This is what he did. I mean, he's the guy who put this together. He had his Saigon moment on July 8th, right after the Bagram Air Base was relinquished. He's the guy who said, oh, you're not going to see the Taliban take over the country. That's just not going to happen. This guy doesn't know what he's doing. And to defend it the way some of the media are doing is just, frankly, it's mind-boggling how much they must hate Donald Trump and the rest of the country and think that they can fool the rest of the country, because the country's not fooled. We know who caused this problem.
Yeah.
It's Joe Biden.
Well, we've got disturbing footage of the Afghan people running after U.S. military planes as they're trying to take off. Their final desperate attempt to escape terrorist rule. 20 years of effort, thousands of American lives, and according to the Brown University cost projections, $6.4 trillion taxpayer dollars just right down the drain. President Trump has called on Mr. Biden to resign. Sir, I think I heard you mention this. Are you officially actually calling on Mr. Biden to resign?
Absolutely. Absolutely. He's got a whole body of work now over 8 months that shows that this guy is incompetent to be president of the United States. He needs to take his vice president with her, though, because neither one of them are serious people. Neither one of them understands anything, whether it's the border to inflation to foreign policy with China, North Korea, Iran, and now Afghanistan. These guys, it is an administration as incompetent as you can imagine in the history of the United States of America. He should resign. If he had any grace and will and a self-esteem, he would.
Congressman, I've got two questions I'm going to combine into one. You've called for Alejandro Mayorkas to be impeached, which I think is a proper course of action considering what he has looked over at the border. This is a complete catastrophe at home, multiple crises down there. Does it take much imagination now that Afghanistan is back in the terrorism business and with Biden's wide open borders? Are you concerned that with these wide open borders, we are inviting radicalized Islamic terrorists to attack us here on the homeland?
Absolutely. It's a real concern. We've already had twice as many apprehensions of people on terrorist watch list this year. And not only that, Chris, we had 213,000 apprehensions, but we probably had 50 to 100,000 getaways. And our border is porous and open. And it's not because of our CBP agents not working hard. It's because of our policies that encourage and invite and distract our CBP agents. This is a real threat to the United States of America. And this administration has to own that full on, outright, every day from here going forward.
Yeah, and as we started our conversation, they assume responsibility for nothing, including the multiple crises of the border. And if, God forbid, we are attacked, they'll try to blame, I'm sure, President Trump as well. Congressman Andy Biggs, thank you, sir. Appreciate the time.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.